Welcome to Reel&Reality. In today's video, we're diving into the mysterious and chilling case of Ana Walshe, a wife, mother, and corporate executive who vanished on New Year's Day 2023. Her disappearance quickly became one of the most perplexing true crime stories in that year, filled with disturbing twists and turns. Before we begin, let's look first at her background. Ana Walshe was a Serbian-born immigrant who built a successful life in the United States. Married to Reel Walshe, the couple had 3 young children and lived in Cohasset, Massachusetts. Ana worked in real estate, managing properties in Washington, D.C., while maintaining her home in Massachusetts. As a driven and ambitious professional, Ana's life appeared to be a perfect balance of career and family. To those around her, Ana appeared to balance both worlds seamlessly, embodying the ideal image of a successful working mother. However, beneath the surface, the relationship between Ana and Brian was reportedly strained, according to friends and co-workers. The public's interest in this case grew significantly due to Ana's corporate ties and her husband's dark history, making her disappearance a matter of both personal and national intrigue. Ana Walshe was last seen on January 1st, 2023. According to Reel Walshe, she left their home in the early hours to catch a flight to Washington, D.C., where she had business obligations. This was unusual, as her trip was supposedly last minute, and she failed to board the scheduled flight. Alarm bells started ringing when Ana did not arrive for work and did not reach out to friends or family. Ana Walshe was officially reported missing by her employer on January 4th, 2023. Her employer's concern arose when there had been no communication from Ana for several days. Although Reel Walshe, her husband, had not contacted the authorities, the company initiated the missing person report due to the lack of contact, which is highly unusual for someone in Ana's professional role. Reel Walshe's initial account to authorities was straightforward. He claimed that Ana left the family home early on January 1st, saying she was heading to the airport to catch a flight to Washington, D.C. He told investigators that he had not seen or heard from her since. However, this account soon began to unravel when police checked surveillance footage and noted inconsistencies in his timeline. One of the first cracks in Brian's story emerged when investigators reviewed surveillance footage from both the Walshe residence and surrounding areas. Authorities found no evidence that Ana had taken a rideshare or left the house, as Brian claimed. His narrative suggested that Ana had an urgent work trip, but there were no bookings under her name for any flights to Washington, and no records from rideshare services that she frequently used. As police dug deeper, surveillance footage from nearby stores captured Brian making some highly suspicious purchases in the days following Ana's disappearance. On January 2nd, just a day after she was last seen, Brian was caught on camera at a Home Depot purchasing over $450 worth of cleaning supplies, including mops, tarps, and duct tape, all in cash, possibly in an attempt to avoid leaving a digital trail. This footage was critical in contradicting his previous statements and raised questions about his involvement in Ana's disappearance. Another glaring inconsistency involved Brian's movement. At the time of Ana's disappearance, Reel Walshe was under house arrest for a separate federal case involving art fraud, and his movements were supposed to be heavily restricted. However, his ankle monitor data showed that he had left his house several times during the period when he was supposedly home, including visits to different stores. His repeated trips raised alarm bells for investigators as they contradicted both his legal status and his earlier testimony. As investigators continued building their case, they discovered incriminating Google searches on devices linked to Reel Walshe. The searches, conducted around the time of Ana's disappearance, included phrases like "how to dispose of a body" and "how long does it take for a body to decompose." These searches, coupled with the purchases of cleaning supplies and his erratic behavior, painted a grim picture of potential foul play. Brian's increasingly suspicious actions, combined with the lack of physical evidence supporting his claim that Ana had left voluntarily, led authorities to focus on him as the prime suspect. His timeline began to fall apart with each new discovery, transforming what initially seemed like a standard missing person case into a far more sinister investigation. The evidence uncovered, including surveillance footage, phone data, and witness statements, challenged Brian's initial claims and hinted at the possibility of premeditation and cover-up in Ana Walshe's disappearance. As the case progressed, it became clear that Brian Walshe was no longer just a concerned husband, but the main focus of a murder investigation. Following Brian's suspicious purchases at Home Depot, police obtained a search warrant for the Walshe family home. This search uncovered several pieces of physical evidence that further implicated Brian in his wife's disappearance. Blood and a broken knife were found in the basement, which investigators believed to be directly connected to Ana. Forensic tests later confirmed that the blood was Ana's, deepening suspicions that foul play had occurred. Trash bags containing clothing and other personal items belonging to Ana were recovered from various locations. In one particularly alarming find, police discovered a blood-stained carpet and cleaning supplies consistent with those Brian had purchased earlier. The disposal of these items, combined with the fact that they were found scattered across multiple locations, pointed toward an attempt to cover up a crime. With mounting evidence, Brian Walshe was arrested on January 8, 2023, initially on charges of misleading a police investigation. Investigators alleged that his false claims about Ana's departure had hindered their search and allowed him time to potentially dispose of evidence. Although the initial charge focused on his attempt to mislead authorities, further developments were underway. Investigators continued to gather both forensic and digital evidence, strengthening their case against Brian. By mid-January 2023, law enforcement had gathered enough evidence to charge Brian Walshe with murder, despite Ana's body still being missing. Prosecutors argued that the blood evidence, coupled with Brian's suspicious actions and disturbing internet searches, provided a compelling case for premeditated murder. This case has been particularly challenging due to the absence of a body, a factor that often complicates murder investigations. However, prosecutors believe that the overwhelming circumstantial evidence, ranging from the bloody knife to the bizarre digital trail, was sufficient for a murder conviction. The authorities also emphasized the troubling nature of Brian's history, pointing to his prior criminal behavior involving art fraud as an indicator of his manipulative tendencies. As Brian Walshe's legal battle began, the case continued to attract widespread media attention. The public reaction was one of shock and outrage, especially given the seemingly normal life the Walshes had projected. News outlets and social media platforms closely followed each development, and Ana's tragic disappearance became a point of discussion regarding domestic violence, manipulation, and psychological abuse. Brian Walshe's legal team initially pleaded not guilty to the charges, and the case entered the early stages of trial preparation by late 2023. Due to the high-profile nature of the investigation, the trial is expected to draw significant attention. Despite the murder charge, Ana Walshe's body has not yet been found, leaving some elements of the case unresolved. Investigators continue to search for answers, and many of Ana's friends and family are hopeful that her remains will eventually be recovered, providing closure. In the meantime, Brian Walshe remains in custody, awaiting further court proceedings. His trial will likely delve into the circumstantial and forensic evidence that has been painstakingly gathered, and the legal system will decide whether or not the case can proceed successfully without the physical body. This case remains a haunting example of how appearances can be deceiving, and it has sparked ongoing discussions about the nature of no-body murder trials and the devastating impact of domestic violence on families. So with this, we're signing off for today. If you liked the video, please smash on that subscription button and like for support. Thank you for viewing in. Until next time, bye-bye.